it is kind of crazy to look back on it and think that you have Yo Gotti, who's traditionally always been pretty tight-lipped, pretty quiet about beef and everything, and then all of a sudden he's got this new artist who is just acting a fool, doing all the craziest shit, pulling up to people's neighborhoods, making Instagram videos, etc. All this stuff that you don't see anybody associated with CMG doing that stuff. You don't really see a lot of rappers besides like, you know, more underground guys doing that type of shit in general these days, just because I think people are a little bit more aware of how much the cops are watching them on social media and everything.
Something serious is brewing in Memphis, and the whole hip-hop world's holding its breath. Yo Gotti, the man behind the CMG empire, just found himself in the middle of a deadly war. Not with rivals, but with his own team. The streets are talking wild, saying what's happening right now could shake the entire city. What started as quiet tension inside one of the most powerful crews in the South has officially blown up, and it's darker and more personal than anyone expected. Behind CMG's shiny success, the cars, the fame, the plaques, there's been pressure building for years. That pressure finally exploded when Blac Youngsta, one of Gotti's most loyal artists, suddenly went rogue. He removed CMG from his bio, called himself independent, and started posting cryptic messages that got fans and street insiders watching closely. Everyone's wondering what could make two men who once called each other brothers turn into enemies overnight. Now, social media has been lit with theories and wild takes. Some say it's business, others say it's deep betrayal. But this ain't no simple label dispute. Nah, this feels like a family war. You could feel the heat building the moment Youngsta started sending those subliminals. The man who once rode hardest for Gotti, the same guy who was front and center during all that tension with young Dolph, is now throwing shade at the boss who helped build him. Just a few days ago, everything flipped. Youngsta dropped post after post, speaking like a man with nothing left to lose. And the timing made it worse. This wasn't random. This came right when CMG's name had finally started to calm down after years of drama. But Youngsta's sudden rebellion pulled all that darkness right back to the surface. Now, before anyone thinks this is just another artist leaves label story, stop. This goes way deeper. These two built something powerful together. They fought battles, shared wins, and stood side by side when the streets were on fire. But like every empire, once the common enemy disappears, the real cracks start to show. That's exactly what's happening here. The bond's breaking, and the city's watching like it's a movie. Every year, Youngsta has this pattern. He takes CMG out his bio, says he's independent, and then pops back up like nothing happened. He even did it once right before Yo Gotti's birthday and still showed up to the celebration all smiles. But this time, the energy's different. This time, the words hit harder, the tension feels heavier, and the whole thing smells like real beef instead of marketing hype. Now, this is where things start to get heated. After Blac Youngsta wiped CMG from his bio, he didn't just fall silent. He came out swinging with raw emotion and threats that had everyone online talking. His posts weren't just random venting. They sounded like a man ready for war. The tone was cold, personal, and straight from the heart. The kind of talk that lets you know it's not about business anymore, it's about respect. On social media, Youngsta dropped a post that instantly went viral. He said, "Play with me, I'ma take away everything that came out your mama. I swear to God, all my brothers dead, so why not the house going to send this upside down about me dead or alive? But I stand on my own 10. That's why I'm respectful and respected everywhere I go." That's not music talk. That's real life pain spilling out in public. He's basically saying he's got nothing to lose, and that's the most dangerous position anyone can be in. When someone's lost everyone they love and the last thing they've got left is pride, that's when things get unpredictable. Fans could feel that energy through every word. It wasn't just music beef anymore. It was grief, betrayal, and anger all boiling together. And he didn't stop there. Youngsta followed it up with another post clearly aimed straight at Yo Gotti. No names, but the message was obvious. He wrote, "These dudes CB4, and they still misleading the youth like they some type of mob bosses. Bro, I'm going to bed right now, and it's 11 a.m. I'm sick of these dudes, and I'm going to lead by example." That line about CB4, that's major disrespect. For anyone who doesn't know, CB4 was a comedy movie about fake rappers pretending to be gangsters. So Youngsta basically called Gotti a fraud, a man faking the mob boss image he's built his whole career around. That's a direct hit to Gotti's brand and reputation. And that's wild because Yo Gotti's entire persona is built around that boss image. His name itself comes from John Gotti, the real-life Italian mob boss who inspired countless rappers. Gotti's whole career has leaned into that vibe. The suits, the calm power moves, the money talk, the mob mentality. So when Youngsta said that, he wasn't just dissing the man, he was attacking his entire identity. That's when people started realizing this wasn't some temporary fallout. It was a deep emotional fracture between two people who used to move like family. The whole CMG movement had always looked unshakable from the outside, but this exposed just how fragile things were behind closed doors. And with Memphis being the kind of city where every word spreads fast, this drama didn't just stay online. Street talk started buzzing heavy, people saying lines were being drawn, alliances shifting, and old loyalties being tested. When someone like Youngsta, who's always been Gotti's frontline soldier, starts turning his words into threats, it's a clear sign that peace is slipping away fast. After those wild posts from Blac Youngsta, things reached a whole new level of disrespect. When he called out Yo Gotti and compared him to CB4, everyone knew exactly what that meant. He was accusing Gotti of being a fake gangster, a man pretending to be something he's not. That line hit like a grenade in the middle of the Memphis scene, because when you call someone who built their whole image around being a mob boss fake, that's not just an insult, that's a declaration of war. For people who don't know, CB4 wasn't just a random movie reference. It's a cult classic from the 90s about rappers who pretended to live the gangster life for fame. So when Youngsta said that, he was throwing one of the harshest disses possible. He wasn't just saying Gotti wasn't real, he was mocking the entire CMG identity. That's the type of shot you can't take back once it's out in public. Now, Yo Gotti could have clapped back with words, but he didn't. Instead, he moved like a boss, calm, strategic, and cold with it. He posted 3 photos on Instagram with the caption, "Nothing bigger, unbreakable." Then he played Jay-Z's Dynasty intro in the background. That wasn't a random choice. That was a carefully planned response, and it had people decoding every lyric like it was a chess move. See, in that Jay-Z track, there's a line that says, "The theme song to The Sopranos playing in the key of life on my mental piano." That's a reference to power, loyalty, and the pressure of being at the top. And it's exactly how Gotti wanted to remind everyone. He's still the boss. That post wasn't just shade. It was a statement saying, "You can't break me or what I built." But there was another line that caught everyone's attention. "Clap whoever stand between Sean and figures." That line hit different. It's basically saying anyone who stands in the way of the money gets handled. No hesitation. Fans immediately connected it to Gotti's mindset, especially after Youngsta's public shots. The message was loud and clear. Don't mess with the empire. The post spread fast. People in the industry noticed, fans picked sides, and the tension grew. For years, Gotti had been respected as a man who doesn't speak much but moves with precision. So when he finally posted something that bold, it meant he was drawing a line. Everyone started asking the same question. Why now? Why would this beef explode after years of loyalty and brotherhood? What changed? That's when folks started pointing fingers at something deeper. The Young Dolph case and how everything surrounding it might have reopened old wounds between Gotti and Youngsta. Because truth be told, this wasn't just two men having creative differences. This was history, pain, and loyalty all colliding. Gotti's post wasn't just defending his image, it was a warning shot. The type that says, if you threaten the family, the brand, or the money, it's up from here. Once people started connecting this new beef to the Young Dolph case, everything took on a darker tone. You could feel the shift. This wasn't just label drama anymore. This was about history, revenge, and street politics that never truly got settled. The timing made it all hit harder too, because just recently, Hernandez Govan, the man prosecutors claimed was behind Dolph's murder, was found not guilty and walked free. That one verdict changed everything. See, when that news hit, it stirred up a lot of emotions in Memphis, and not just among fans. Inside the CMG camp, old wounds reopened, and people started whispering that it might have caused cracks within the crew. For years, CMG had been trying to move past all the heat tied to Dolph's death, but now that the case flipped, the energy shifted again. Suddenly, everyone was back to talking about who was loyal, who wasn't, and who might have been responsible for keeping CMG's image clean during that messy era. And you can't talk about that history without mentioning Blac Youngsta. He was the most vocal one when it came to dissing Dolph, both before and after the tragedy. Even after Dolph passed, Youngsta doubled down and performed Shake Some at a club, a song full of disrespect, and then went on to film a video in a graveyard right in front of a tombstone that said Thornton, Dolph's real last name. That move sparked major backlash, but Youngsta didn't care. He told fans, "I come from the heart of South Memphis where you get no sympathy." That's when the divide between Gotti and Youngsta started becoming clearer. Word on the streets was that Yo Gotti and CMG didn't want Youngsta dissing Dolph anymore, especially after his death. The reason? It was bad for business. Dolph was loved across the South, and CMG's name kept popping up in conversations about the case. Even Gotti's brother Big Jook got questioned during the trial. The more Youngsta trolled, the worse CMG's reputation looked, and Gotti's team knew they had to protect the brand. But Youngsta wasn't trying to hear that. He felt like he'd always been loyal, always ready to go to war for the team. To him, being told to chill felt like betrayal. That's when the quiet tension started turning into real resentment. Because in the streets, once your enemy is gone, sometimes your own crew starts turning on each other. And just like that, fans started drawing parallels, saying this was the same pattern all over again. The same loyalty turning sour, the same power struggles resurfacing. People even brought up how, during the trial, Cornelius Smith, one of the alleged shooters, testified that Big Jook had allegedly put a $100,000 bounty on Dolph's head. That claim shocked everyone, not only because it sounded wild, but because it showed how deep the cracks in loyalty ran when things got real. That's why this new fallout between Gotti and Youngsta hit so hard, because everyone could see the ghosts of the past still haunting CMG. It wasn't just about pride anymore. It was about survival, legacy, and a city that's seen too many artists fall behind the same cycle of loyalty turning deadly. The more people looked into this mess, the clearer it became. This wasn't just about money or contracts. This was about loyalty and what happens when it starts cracking from the inside. Blac Youngsta had always been CMG's most fearless soldier, the one who'd ride for Yo Gotti no matter what. But after all these years, it looked like that same loyalty had turned into anger, regret, and deep betrayal. Youngsta once saw Gotti as everything: a mentor, a big brother, an OG, a CEO, even a teacher. He said it publicly countless times, showing love and respect. But now, those same titles were being thrown back in Gotti's face. Youngsta went online and said, "I blame the fake OGs, the fake big homies, the fake big brothers, the fake CEOs, the fake teachers, the fake people in your life not telling you right from wrong." That was a direct shot, and everyone knew exactly who he was talking about. He wasn't just calling Gotti fake. He was accusing him of misleading people, of pretending to be something he's not, and of building his empire off a lie. That's heavy, especially when you remember how close these two once were. It's wild to think that the same man who used to call Gotti family was now basically labeling him a fraud in front of the whole world. Behind the scenes, word was that Yo Gotti had tried to keep things quiet, to stop it from becoming a full-blown public beef. But once Youngsta's posts started going viral, it was too late. The streets were already picking sides. Memphis is the kind of city where rumors turn into movement fast, and this feud had people talking like it was something much bigger than rap. See, Gotti's always been the kind of man who plays chess, not checkers. He moves calm, strategic, and always with purpose. So when he dropped that unbreakable post with Jay-Z's Dynasty intro playing, it wasn't random. It was him saying, "I'm still the boss, and nothing you say can break me." It was a warning dressed as art, cool on the surface, but full of meaning underneath. But even with that calm response, everyone could feel the tension rising. Youngsta was out here moving like someone who'd lost everything. And when someone feels like they've got nothing left to lose, they don't play by the same rules. He'd already said it himself. All his brothers were gone. That kind of pain makes a man dangerous. And what made things worse was that people started comparing this whole situation to what happened between Yo Gotti and young Dolph years ago. Back then, it started as small disrespect. And before anyone knew it, shots were fired and lives were lost. The idea that Memphis might be about to watch history repeat itself had fans and the industry seriously worried. At this point, it wasn't just about who said what. It was about power, control, and legacy. Youngsta wanted to prove he could stand on his own, and Gotti wanted to remind the world that no one, not even family, can step on the empire he built. But when pride, loyalty, and grief all collide in one city, the outcome rarely ends peacefully. Now here's where things start getting really dangerous. By this point, fans weren't even calling it label tension anymore. They were calling it a Memphis power struggle. Because when you've got two major figures like Yo Gotti and Blac Youngsta, both connected in the streets and the industry, a fallout like this doesn't just stay online, it spills into real life. And in Memphis, that can turn ugly fast. Everyone knows Yo Gotti isn't just a rapper. He's a boss in every sense of the word. He moves like a CEO mixed with a street legend. His relationships run deep, not just with labels and execs, but with people who can make real things happen. That's what makes this whole situation so tense. Gotti has the kind of power that doesn't need to shout. He can move quietly and still make the board shake. Insiders have been saying Gotti's trying to play things smart. No public arguing, no messy interviews. But that doesn't mean he's letting it slide. When he said unbreakable, it wasn't just about pride, it was about control. He's reminding everyone that CMG is his empire and that anything threatening it will be handled the mob way. And then there's Youngsta, who's moving like a man on edge. People close to him say he's paranoid, feeling like every eye in Memphis is on him. And honestly, he might not be wrong. Once you start calling out the man who helped build your career, every move you make becomes risky. Even mutual friends start to look like potential ops. That's why folks online have been warning. This could get deadly quick if someone doesn't step in, because at the level Gotti's operating on now, he's got connections that go far beyond the neighborhood. It's nothing for him to move pieces behind the scenes, legally, politically, even socially. He doesn't have to touch a thing. When you've got that kind of power, you don't fight back with words, you fight back with influence. But Youngsta, he's not built to back down. That South Memphis fire runs deep in him. He's always been the wild card, the one who acts first and deals with the consequences later. Even back in the day, Gotti used to call him Reckless, which later became one of his projects, Young and Reckless. The title fit him perfectly. That's why this whole feud feels like a ticking clock, because Youngsta's emotions are louder than his caution right now. If this tension keeps building, it's not hard to imagine how it ends. The same way most beefs in Memphis end, with people hurt, locked up, or worse. And that's what has the city so nervous. Because everyone remembers how the Young Dolph situation started small too. A few disses, a few egos, and it ended in tragedy. Nobody wants to see that movie play out again. What's scary is how personal this feels. These two used to move like family, and now they're walking the line between loyalty and war. And when pride takes over, that line disappears fast. One wrong move, one word taken the wrong way, and the entire CMG legacy could crumble before our eyes. Now everything's come down to this. Yo Gotti and Blac Youngsta standing on opposite sides of a line that might be impossible to cross again. What started as brotherhood built on trust has turned into a war of words, power, and survival. And for Memphis, that's terrifying, because when beef reaches this level, peace is almost impossible to find. At this point, the city's watching closely. Fans, rappers, even industry insiders, everyone's asking the same question. Can this be squashed before it turns deadly? Memphis has already lost too many to this same cycle of pride and pain. Young Dolph's gone, Big Jook's gone, Youngsta's brother's gone. The list keeps growing, and the wounds never heal. Every loss just fuels the next one. This whole situation has become bigger than music. It's about power, respect, and legacy. It's about what happens when egos grow too big and trust fades away. For Gotti, this might be the biggest test of his career, not just as a rapper or CEO, but as a leader. Does he try to pull Youngsta back into the fold, or does he let pride take control and watch everything he built fall apart? Because make no mistake, Gotti's not just another artist. He's a businessman, connected to people far beyond the rap world. He's got influence, strategy, and money on his side. But even with all that, no one's untouchable when emotions get involved. One bad move in a city like Memphis can send shockwaves through an entire community. For Blac Youngsta, this is about something deeper, his legacy and identity. He's made it clear that he's tired of fake love and control. He said it himself. I'm cool with standing alone. I put trust in the wrong people. No more making it look good. We either cool or we not. That's the voice of a man who's done pretending, who's seen too much pain to keep smiling for cameras. But that mindset mixed with grief and anger can turn a proud man into a target fast. And the truth is, both of them are fighting ghosts from the past. This feels like history trying to repeat itself. The same loyalty that once built CMG is now what's tearing it apart. The same hunger that made them brothers is what's turning them into rivals. And in Memphis, where every street has its own story, beef at this level almost never ends quietly. The people want peace, but pride's a hard thing to swallow when your name means everything. This isn't just Yo Gotti versus Blac Youngsta. It's a reflection of how the industry twists loyalty until it snaps. Money, ego, and fame can build an empire, but once trust breaks, no amount of success can fix it. Right now, both men are standing at a crossroads. One path leads to reconciliation, the other to destruction. The streets are watching, the culture is watching, and the next move either man makes could change Memphis forever. Because in this city, when beef gets personal, it rarely ends with words. It ends with headlines, heartbreak, and lessons learned too late.